Holiday presents, in the red corner, the undisputed, undefeated Weed Whacker Guy. Champion of hurling grass and pollen everywhere. And in the blue corner, the challenger, extra strength Holiday. Eye drops that work all day to prevent the release of histamines that cause itchy allergy eyes. And the winner by knockout is Holiday. Holiday, bring it on.
This episode is brought to you by Nespresso and Samra Origins by the Weekend Coffee Collection.
Introducing Samra Origins. My collaboration with Nespresso is a connection to my roots, to my mother, Samra. Coffee that hits the right notes. It transports you. Crafted with unique notes and bold, soaring flavors. Experience a taste that moves you. Nespresso and Samra Origins.
Discover more at Nespresso.com.
Welcome to the Sportsman's Voice Roundup, your weekly look at conservation and sporting community news happening across the nation and on the Hill. Thanks for tuning in. This is the TSV Roundup. All right, it is Wednesday, and that means it is another Sportsman's Voice Roundup, your weekly look at news and conservation from around the nation. Good lineup this week, folks, for the, where are we at? The week of September 29th. We're going to talk about National Hunting and Fishing Day that occurred this past weekend. Bob Matthews brings us an article about funding for the future. Michigan license fee restructuring voted out of appropriates committee. AFWA issues our Senior Vice President Taylor Schmitz a prestigious award. Why you should come to the 22nd Annual NASC Summit. Conservation and action, new opportunities for elk hunting in Alaska open. And finally, a look at the legislative session in the Mid-Atlantic states and what to expect in 2026. All that and so very much more. Before we get into it, a little housekeeping. Do want to thank our supporters for this week. Bass Pro Shops, Richard Childress Racing, and SCI, Safari Club International. Thank you all very much for your support of this program. Also, don't forget about the ongoing Pop for Conservation raffle. Go to pop4conservation.com to enter today. Trucks, other vehicles, hunting equipment, hunting trips, fishing tackle, and gear. Again, pop4conservation.com, POP4conservation.com. Go there for your chances to win. Every ticket sold goes right back to our mission and allows for us to bring you stories every week, like we're going to get into, of success, advocating, and the fights we have in the state houses across the country and on Capitol Hill. And don't forget to sign up for the free newsletter, the TSV newsletter that comes out every Monday or Tuesday if a holiday, the print edition of this very program, as we are the audio complement to it. And as I say, as we go through these articles, there are great in-article links that will allow you to see bills we're talking about, deep dive certain studies or information that we're bringing to you at another deeper level. And you can go click on those as a resource and do more homework. All right, with all that out of the way, let us get into it. Excited to talk about National Hunting and Fishing Day this year. Obviously, this occurs the fourth Saturday in September this year. It was September 27th. The nation came together to celebrate National Hunting and Fishing Day to honor America's 55 million sportsmen and women for the remarkable role they play in conservation efforts across the country. National Hunting and Fishing Day, as you may know, was established by Congress in the early 70s, 1971 to be precise, and first observed in 1972. Since 2015, CSF has worked with the administration and governors to secure proper recognition for National Hunting and Fishing Day. Here's the exciting part, aside from the day itself. This year, CSF, our team, broke a record in this decade-long effort to secure these proclamations. Not only did we get a presidential proclamation from President Donald Trump and 44 gubernatorial proclamations as we hit that high benchmark last year, setting a record. Alongside of these was a legislative recognition in New York, which formally recognized the day and its significance. The proclamations highlight not just the cultural legacy of hunting, fishing, in the outdoor recreation space, but also the critical contributions to fish and wildlife conservation, habitat management, and rural economies from sportsmen and women. With New York coming into play and recognizing the day for, I think, for the first time ever, that puts us at 45 states celebrating National Hunting and Fishing Day. That's amazing and further proof of the bipartisan nature of our space. Let's get into this quote here from President and CEO Jeff Crane. For nearly a century, America's sportsmen and women have proudly shouldered the weight of funding conservation in this incredible country. He continues, their commitment to wildlife and habitat conservation isn't just a tradition, it's leadership in action. Sportsmen and women invest time, money, and passion in a way that continues to shape the future of our natural resources for the better. That impact is profound, and National Hunting and Fishing Day stands as a powerful tribute to honor it. End quote. Sportsmen and women are conservation, powering the most effective conservation funding model in the world, the American system of conservation funding. Through excise taxes, license fees, and other contributions from hunters, anglers, recreational shooters, and trappers, the industry that support them, billions of dollars have been invested into state level wildlife conservation and habitat restoration. Those dollars directly support fish and wildlife management efforts that benefit all Americans, not just those who hunt and fish. National Hunting and Fishing Day honors this unmatched legacy, raising awareness about these vital contributions while encouraging more people to experience the outdoors and take part in conservation through time-honored sporting traditions. Johnny Morris's Wonders of Wildlife National Museum and Aquarium in Springfield, Missouri serves as the official home for National Hunting and Fishing Day, and Bass Pro Shops across the country also host events. For more information on National Hunting and Fishing Day, you can visit www.nationalhuntingandfishingday. That is NHFD day spelled out there .org, nhfday.org. And for a list of the proclamations that were issued this year, you can visit National Hunting and Fishing Day, Congressional Sportsmen's Foundation. That in article link will take you there to see all 45 pieces that were recognized today. That's awesome. It is, like I said, a testament to the hard work of our team, the relationships we have through the state legislators, through the governor's offices, shows the strength of our governor's sportsman's caucus for those that are involved. And, obviously, with all 45 states that we secured this year, it goes beyond the GSC and our reach. So, obviously, we appreciate the support from the governors, definitely the presidential recognition from President Trump, and tip of the cap to the CSF team for delivering these important recognitions from across the country. Continuing on, this from Bob Matthews. Funding the future of our outdoor pursuits, Michigan license fee restructuring package voted out of the Appropriations Committee. Revenue generated by sportsmen and women purchasing their licenses and tags is the foundation of the American system of conservation funding. However, as years pass, the cost that state fish and wildlife agencies incur while carrying out their missions exceed the revenue generated from these license and tag purchases. And legislators must sometimes revisit the fee structure to ensure that natural resources are properly managed. Michigan Senate Bill 276 and 277 were voted out of the Michigan Senate Appropriations Committee last week. The bills were championed through the bipartisan leadership of Michigan Legislative Sportsmen's Caucus co-chair Senator John Cherry and Senator John Bumstead. CSF Assistant Manager, Midwest States, Bob Matthews, testified before the committee in support of the bills, which ensure that hunting and fishing license and tag fees are sufficient to cover the increasing cost of the Michigan Department of Natural Resources. For the second time this legislative session, CSF provided oral testimony in favor of the two Michigan bills that are designed to bolster revenue for the Michigan DNR to carry out its mission in managing the state's storied fish and wildlife. The two earlier mentioned Senate bills, 276 and 277, were introduced and championed by the caucus co-chairs there, Senators Cherry and Bumstead. The bills increased the fees, as we've discussed earlier. Sportsmen and women are the backbone of conservation funding in America. Without any adjustments to license and tag fees, in more than a decade, the operational costs of the DNR have outpaced the revenue that Michigan hunters and anglers produce. The DNR faces increased costs, staffing, fish raising, transportation, and stocking, habitat management, enforcement of fish and game laws, and providing public access infrastructure. A summary and analysis of the proposed increase can be found at the in article link that I'm talking about here. However, even with these modest adjustments, Michigan would remain one of the least expensive states for residents to hunt and fish in the Great Lakes region. Further, the package would alleviate the unintended technical hangup that prohibited the state agency from being reimbursed from discounted licenses, even though the mechanism has been in place for decades. Reimbursement of state fish and wildlife agencies for the revenue lost from these discounts is another CSF priority, which serves to lower participation barriers for deserving groups without sacrificing conservation funding. CSF applauds the bipartisan leadership that the caucus co-chairs have demonstrated with these bills and will continue to support the legislation as it makes its way to the Senate floor for consideration by the full legislative body. I've covered this quite a bit, and sometimes with, I guess, a wagging finger at our own. And I don't mean to come down hard, but often when there are modest license increases, and we talk about this as it concerns wildlife councils as well. But for the price increase, most of the time people get worked up about it. But if not us, who? And with rising costs of doing business, fuel costs, manpower, people want to do more outreach to bring more people into the fold so that we have good participation, so that there is more funding. Look, and a lot of people will say, "Oh, it's just a money grab. The Fish and Game Department or the DNR, they just want more money." And that is, I guess, technically that is correct, but not for the reasons that are being inferred and kind of beaten around a bush by the resident license holder. It's not a money grab, but more of continued investment making up for the lack of participation, and also adjusting for inflation and higher costs of doing business. This isn't any different than any other business out there, for profit or nonprofit. Cost of getting stuff done is just more expensive. You see it in your grocery bill, you see it at the gas station. Hell, you see it in your insurance packages. Most of us walking around with never making a claim or paying more in premiums. So, which isn't good, but in that you're not getting anything out of it. At least here with these modest fee increases, we know that the money is going to mission delivery for those healthy habitats, for those healthy herds and flocks, for those healthy fisheries. Those funds and resources are needed. And anyway, it is important that the community gets on board with those and understands what those resources are providing. Let us continue. Congressional Sportsmen's Foundation Senior Vice President Taylor Schmidt's honored with the prestigious Gary Taylor Award. CSF proudly announces that Senior Vice President Taylor Schmidt has been awarded the Gary Taylor Award by AFWA, the Association of Fish and Wildlife Agencies. This distinguished honor recognizes individuals who have demonstrated outstanding achievement in advancing public conservation policy, particularly in safeguarding the jurisdiction of state fish and wildlife agencies over the management of fish and wildlife resources. Incredibly important. Named in honor of the late Gary Taylor, a respected conservation leader and longtime friend to CSF, the award highlights those whose work exemplifies the principles of science-based management, state authority, and collaborative stewardship of America's natural resources. Schmitz, who has dedicated nearly a decade to advancing conservation policy through his leadership at CSF, has been instrumental in strengthening the voice of state agencies and sportsmen and women in policy decisions that affect fish and wildlife management nationwide. His efforts have helped secure that state and fish state fish and wildlife agencies remain the forefront of science-driven conservation decision-making, protecting America's rich outdoor heritage for future generations. This from our President and CEO, Jeff Crane. Taylor's commitment to defending and advancing conservation policies that benefit fish and wildlife is critical. He continues, we are incredibly proud of his leadership, and this award is a testament to his tireless efforts on behalf of sportsmen and women across the country. Another quote, this from the award recipient himself, Taylor Schmitz. Gary Taylor was a force in conservation and one of the most respected policy leaders in our community. While I am proud to personally accept this award in his name, I am most proud of the work we are fortunate to do at the Congressional Sportsmen's Foundation and working alongside my colleagues to carry forward Gary's legacy in conservation policy, end quote. The recognition from AFWA underscores Schmidt's role as a trusted advocate and partner to state agencies, policymakers, and conservation stakeholders. His leadership has been critical in addressing pressing challenges facing fish and wildlife management while promoting the enduring values of hunting, fishing, and outdoor recreation. Congratulations to Taylor on the recognition and just, again, highlighting the good work he does and the recognition from a great organization like AFWA and then highlighting the important work we're doing state level. Let us continue. Why should you attend the 22nd Annual NASC Summit? We've gone over this quite a bit in recent weeks, but let us hear from yet a third joint article from Mark Lance and Connor Barker, our team in the Southeast. As we've talked about, NASC Annual Sportsman Summit is hosted by CSF. It is the only conference for state legislators dedicated to protecting and advancing pro hunting, fishing, recreational shooting, and trapping policy. The NASC Summit provides an unmatched opportunity to connect with legislators, state fish and wildlife agency staff, sporting conservation NGO representatives, and outdoor industry partners for discussions and presentations on issues that are critical to our sporting heritage. This year, NASC Summit will take place in Memphis, Tennessee from December 9th to the 12th, and it is co-hosted by Tennessee and Mississippi's Legislative Sportsmen's Caucuses and is presented by CSF and Ducks Unlimited. The theme for this year's summit is temperature rising, turning up the heat through proactive sporting conservation policy initiatives, which is a fitting theme considering the summit will take place at the Guest House at Graceland, the home of Elvis Presley. Following the Tuesday night opening reception at the Bass Pro Shops Pyramid, the 2 days worth of policy discussions on issues critically impacting the sportsman community, attendees will have the opportunity to participate in a variety of different outdoor activities, such as duck hunting, sporting clays, and more that make the Mid-South attractive to sportsmen and women. With more than 300 attendees, the NASC Summit is the place to be when it comes to obtaining a strong understanding of the current state of sportsmen's issues in every corner of the country. While some issues might currently be specific to one state or region, we've seen time and time again where issues that start that way can make it into your backyard before you realize it. We have covered that extensively and have, a good example of that is attacks on commission and boards with authority of fish and game agencies to make rules to pertains to season date, bag limits, and more. The draft agenda for this year's event is available on the event website, nascsummit.org. That is NASC summit.org. Or you can go to the article for the in-article link. The event website is also where you can learn more about the individuals who will be speaking at the event, review the lodging accommodations, and most importantly, register for the event. NASC Summit gives you an opportunity to get in front of the issues that are threatening the sporting traditions which you care about the most, so we can look forward and hope to look forward to seeing you in Memphis. Heading up to Alaska, this from Marie Newmiller. We're looking at an opening of opportunities for elk hunting in Alaska. Alaska's Roosevelt elk population on Raspberry Island has rebounded to a healthy level thanks to careful science-based management by Alaska Department of Fish and Game. As a result of these successful conservation efforts, Alaska is now able to open a limited draw-only hunting opportunity for residents, balancing harvest with conservation to ensure the herd's long-term sustainability. For sportsmen, it exemplifies how regulated hunting sustains wildlife and landscapes, aligning with core tenets of ethical outdoor traditions. Alaska's Department of Game and Fish July 2024 surveys confirmed the Raspberry Island elk herd is within its 150 to 200 animal management objective, enabling a controlled cow elk hunt. Just 25 non-transferable registration permits were issued online starting September 25th of 2025 to the first eligible Alaska residents who apply. This draw-only season underscores hunters' vital role in preventing overharvest while funding conservation through the user-based systems. Roosevelt elk were introduced into Alaska in 1929 with the relocation of 8 calves from Washington State to the Afognak Island. From these modest beginnings, the herd expanded to neighboring Raspberry Island and flourished, reaching a peak around 1,500 animals by the mid-1960s. However, the population experienced significant highs and lows, often linked to severe weather with deep snow limiting forage access, as well as predation pressures from bears and wolves. These challenges highlighted the resilience of the species in Alaska's rugged archipelago environment, where elk have adapted to dense coastal rainforests and steep terrain. Recent surveys paint an encouraging picture of recovery. The department's minimum count abundance surveys conducted in July of 24 estimate Raspberry Island elk herd at levels squarely within the department's management objectives on 150 to 200 animals. This sustainability reflects decades of adaptive management strategies, including habitat monitoring and predator assessments that prioritize population health over unchecked growth. With the herd now robust enough to withstand limited harvest without risk, Alaska Department of Fish and Game has greenlit the RE 706 permit only cow elk hunt in Game Management Unit 8, that is the Kodiak Archipelago. To safeguard against the overharvest and keep the population on target, the department is issuing only 25 registration permits for the 2025-2026 hunting season. These non-transferable tags target antlerless elk to fine-tune sex ratios and reduce browsing pressure on vegetation, promoting both herd balance and ecosystem balance. The application process was accessible exclusively online for Alaska residents on Thursday, September 25th, 2025. Permits will go to the first 25 eligible Alaska resident hunters on a first-come, first-served basis. Successful applicants must adhere to the 2025-2026 Alaska hunting regulations, including mandatory harvest reporting within 10 days of the kill or season close. This conservative approach not only sustains the herd, but also generates critical data through hunter reports, informing future management decisions. This targeted elk management on Raspberry Island embodies the North American model of wildlife conservation, a framework celebrated by CSF as the gold standard for sustainable wildlife stewardship. At its heart, the model rests on the public trust doctrine, holding that wildlife belongs to all citizens and must be managed scientifically by government agencies for the public's benefit. Hunters are a key component and stewards in that system and are a vital component of balanced management systems. By participating in such regulated hunts, sportsmen and women directly contribute to this legacy, providing the ethical harvest is not just a privilege, but a powerful tool for conservation that benefits hunters, anglers, and trappers, and outdoor enthusiasts alike. That's very cool. Hopefully, the management targets continue to be met and opportunities increase. That would be really cool for folks up there. All right, our last article here, this from Kaylee Leaguer, legislative sessions in the Mid-Atlantic states, what to expect next year. It is no secret. The Mid-Atlantic region, consisting of Delaware, Maryland, Pennsylvania, Virginia, and West Virginia, can be challenging when it comes to protecting and promoting our sporting heritage. In 2025, the region saw just about an equal number of pro-sportsman bills, that is 15.6%, and anti-sportsman's bills, 16.8%. CSF continues to work with legislators to introduce pro-sportsman legislation and get ahead of any anti-sportsman trends. Will the legislative sessions in 2026 resemble those in 2025? During the 2025 session, the Mid-Atlantic saw anti-sportsman legislation regarding the banning of lead ammo for hunting and a plethora of anti-hunting firearm legislation. On the pro-sportsman legislation side, we saw the repeal of Sunday hunting restrictions for all game species and increasing penalties for trespassing on private property. Legislation that doesn't pass within the required timeline of a legislative session can resurface in the future years. CSF works closely with the National Assembly of Sportsmen's Caucuses and the Governor's Sportsmen's Caucus to encourage the protection and promoting of hunting, fishing, trapping, and recreational shooting. During the 2025 legislative sessions in the Mid-Atlantic states, as we've covered, it produced some permanent and some temporary victories when it comes to protecting and or promoting our sporting heritage. For example, alongside the Maryland Legislative Sportsmen's Caucuses, CSF successfully killed House Bill 741 and Senate Bill 634, which contained a provision that would have ultimately banned the use of lead hunting ammo for all species in the Old Line State. In Virginia, Governor Sportsman's Caucus member Governor Glenn Youngkin vetoed multiple pieces of legislation that would have impacted legal ownership of modern sporting and hunting platforms. Additionally, it is no secret there are still some Sunday hunting restrictions in the Mid-Atlantic region, despite the monumental victory we secured in Pennsylvania last session, which turned full regulatory control over Sunday hunting to the Pennsylvania Game Commission. CSF intends to work with members of the region to repeal the remaining prohibitions in the years ahead. For the rapidly approaching 2026 legislative sessions, you should expect to see the return of an attempt to ban lead hunting ammo in Maryland, in addition to the return of legislation that attempts to remove the remaining prohibitions and restrictions on Sunday hunting. You will likely see more anti-firearm legislation across the region, specifically in Virginia, following the vetoes from Governor Youngkin in 2025. CSF is also working to have legislation reintroduced in Virginia and West Virginia that would reimburse fish and wildlife agencies for free and or discounted hunting and fishing licenses. As for Delaware, sportsmen and women should expect to see an omnibus sportsman's package that removes the remaining Sunday hunting prohibitions in the first state. Those are on small game. Legalize the use of the fire stick in muzzleloader, the modern inline tech there. Correct an administrative oversight during the deer season as it pertains to that new muzzleloader technology, and expand calibers for the pistol caliber rifles that can be used for deer hunting. CSF looks forward to continuing the work with each state's bipartisan legislative sportsmen's caucuses to encourage the protection and promotion of our beloved pastimes. No doubt we're gearing up for a very busy session, and with our continued proactive policy being championed by our legislative sportsmen's caucuses and co-chairs, we are positioned well, if nothing else, to put the antis on their heels where for years and in some cases decades, they have always been proactive and we've always been reactive. We flipped the script on that, proving that to be a successful model last year, and we're not stopping. We have plenty of good stuff on behalf of our sporting community coming your way across the country. And obviously, we will have our own set of challenges in every state that we'll still have to engage in. But we are positioned strongly, and look forward to a good session and hopefully delivering some better and some good wins rather that will outweigh the anti-engagement and the passage of anything that would be antithetical to sound wildlife management and the promotion of the shooting sports, which continues to be the primary funder to PR and mission delivery and those matched funds at the state level. All right, that's it. I think we kept it pretty good here on the time. We appreciate everybody tuning in every Wednesday to the program and taking this important information, deep diving it, self-educating, and then sharing the stuff. Especially the legislators that listen, take this program, and they are sharing it, the information and the program itself, with their colleagues to get a better understanding of what's going on across the country, regionally, and important issues they should be looking out for. Tomorrow we launch another feature episode, and we are celebrating National Hunting and Fishing Day with a few different guests with their perspective. What they did for the day should be entertaining, not super policy heavy, but just more first person accounts of the celebration of the day, what they personally did, and then just some more ideas around the day and what it means to our sporting heritage and community. So with that, we'll leave it there. As always, like, subscribe, follow, star, rate where you can. Most of you folks are listening on Apple, so there you can leave a review if you're so inclined. Take about 30 seconds. Definitely hit the follow, subscribe button. And again, take another second, scroll down. You will see 5 stars. If you've never filled those in, quickly hit the 5-star rating. We appreciate it. Those interactions help us within the algorithm and helps our show become more discoverable to new audiences and new people that are out there. You can do the same thing on Spotify, which is where the rest of you are primarily listening to us. And as always, we appreciate that. That's going to do it. We'll wrap the show there. We'll see you tomorrow for the feature, and then we'll do it again next Wednesday with more news and information from across the country for you. As always, CSF is your inside connection to outdoor legislation. We'll see you tomorrow, and then we'll see you next week for another roundup. Take care. Thanks for joining us on this edition of the Sportsman's Voice podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, your support is crucial, and you can help us out right now by leaving a review, filling in those 5 stars where available, sharing this episode with friends and family, and engaging with us socially. CSF can be found on Facebook, Instagram, and X, formerly known as Twitter. Together, we can protect the outdoor sports we love and continue to keep you informed wherever you are. That's it for this week. Until next time, we'll see you later.